Okay, so when you come in, this should be set at about right next to right at the pilot. You want to do is raise the temperature to around B, or if you want C to get right to really warm water. All right, to turn on the water, turn off the water, the door is right next to the where we have the laundry room. There's a door, so there's a light switch here, which up means on, down means off. So make sure it's on because you're about to walk in to underneath the house. Since the light does light up pretty well, you might still want to bring a flashlight. So now you're underneath the house. So I do have a flashlight. Let me just turn it on. Not very bright though. But this is where you have the water turn. So right now I'm going to turn it off. So that's an off position, which means it's perpendicular or at least looking forward that way. Now to turn on the water, you just turn it that way. So like this, okay? Like that. So now it's perpendicular, or this is parallel to this tube. Now to turn it off back again, so that's what we want. We're leaving. Make sure it's perpendicular to that tube, okay? When you arrive at the kitchen, if you look on top, we have a little camera. It's kind of there for just for security reasons for while we're away. But as soon as you come in, just feel free to disconnect the power to the camera. Just like that. That way you have complete privacy. Okay, if you want to link your smartphone to the speaker, all you have to do is turn it on by pressing the button on the left. And if it's linked, it might link to an existing phone. If not, if you need to repair it, all you have to do is press the pair button for about 5 seconds until that LED starts to flash. Okay, now the speaker is pairable. And then as soon as you pair up, this will go back to solid, and then you can just use your own phone or your tablet to link up music through Bluetooth. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to turn on the Blaze King. Okay, so just follow these instructions. It should be pretty easy. So now we go on the left side of the Blaze King. You see this little valve. Right now it's shut down. So now we have to turn it on by putting it parallel to the shaft. So parallel to the shaft. Now gas is flowing into the line. Now we need to open the right side to make sure that we get the pilot to turn on. Right now it should be already set to pilot. Let me make sure. Yes, it's to pilot. So the trick is you want to press this a few seconds, let the gas go through the pipes to make sure the pilot turns on. The other thing that works well is we can let a little more air get into the Blaze King, so that way you can breathe a little bit. The fire should turn on a little quicker. So now we hold back the pilot, and then as soon as we have a little bit of time, you want to try to turn on the starter. And as you can see, pilot's on. So now we leave this for about 30 seconds to assure that the pilot stays on. So we're going to remove our finger from the pilot setting, and we should still see that the pilot's still going. Yeah. So now that the pilot's been on for about a minute, to assure that its thermocoupling stays on. So now what I want to do is turn it on by turning the shaft all the way counterclockwise. And the bottom shaft here controls it controls it. Now you can see that the fire started now. Now when you first turn it on, this is not hot, so you can still use your hands. But one word of caution, you don't want to leave this open and then touch it later like I'm doing now, because you might burn your hands. And there you go, the Blaze King. Okay, now when you're about to leave, you gotta make sure the hot tub is set back to 80 degrees. This keeps the water from freezing, since we do go below freezing temperatures. So make sure that the temperature reaches 80 degrees before you leave. That also saves power. The next step is you want to make sure that you lock the hot tub. Make sure it goes through the handle, and then it should be close to right here. The easy thing is just to grab the lock through the little earpieces and then kind of push it to lock. If you did this right, it should be easy. And then just make sure that the lock is locked before you head out. There you go. Now, this is important because people might trespass or also someone might get hurt. So we need to do this for safety. Now the next step is to lock the hot tub. So what you do is you bring these ears, make sure it goes through the handle piece here. Make sure you pull tight. Make sure that it reaches close to the lock. This is where it's going to get locked. You grab the lock through the ears and then you put it through here and then you make sure it's locked. Now the reason we do this is to protect us from anybody that trespasses, and number two is that someone might jump in and may get hurt, and we don't want to make sure that, first we don't want to get sued, but at the same time we don't want anybody to get hurt. So anyway, we appreciate you do that. One last piece is make sure that we put this thing that broke off from the top back where it belongs. This keeps from the temperature from changing as much as it would if you left it without it, also from any critters to jump in to try to get a little splash. Now before you leave, make sure that all the doors are locked. Usually this works better if you lock the top first and then you lock the bottom and make sure the lights are off. In this case, that's off. Make sure you put the key that locks the hot tub back where it belongs. We only have one in the house, so we don't want to get stuck without a hot tub. Now that you have enjoyed the Blaze King, one way is we need to turn it off before you either go to sleep or if you're closing down. One thing is you want to open the shaft, but be careful, it's going to be hot. So when you use one of these things that you use for the pots, to put your hand in there and then open it. It's just the magnet that holds it, so you can also use this to pull it. But make sure you use one of these, you're going to burn your hand without it. Okay, now we're going to go back. Let me turn on the light to make sure you can see. Go back to where the pilot is, and we put it back in that position where we had pilot. So it's clockwise at this time. Now we put it on pilot, so the pilot still stays on. We still leave this on because this controls the blower, and the blower will still, distribute the heat out to the room, keep the house warm. And but this should be back to pilot position. Once again, we'll go on the left side of the Blaze King, and you want to make sure you turn off the gas, because what we don't want to do is lose gas. So now that's completely off when it's perpendicular to the line. That means there's no gas flowing on the line, so that way we minimize any risk. Now you've probably already seen these Nest little thermometers for the house, but when you leave, just click down. You see the little house, and when it says home, you click it and then go to away, and it presets to our desired 55 degrees. Now when you leave, you want to remember to turn off the heat on the boiler for the hot water down to right where it says pilot, so that way we just leave the pilot on. This saves gas since we only have a propane tank outside, and we want to minimize the usage when no one's around. But this is where you have the water turn. So right now I'm going to turn it off. So that's an off position, which means it's perpendicular or at least looking forward that way. Okay, so when you turn off the water, make sure that you open here, so that way if there's any water, it allows the water to drain down to the bottom. Okay, so now we're going to show the step where you add the antifreeze. So this is the antifreeze that you can buy at like a Kragen or the supermarket. So we're going to pour it into the sink. Now we do this just so the pipes, for whatever reason, if the temperature does drop, you don't want to have the pipes to burst, and that can get very expensive. So there you go, just switch legs, that's what you do. And we do it to all the bathrooms and the toilets. Now when leaving the house, you want to make sure you connect the camera. All you have to do is just connect power back to the camera, and the camera will go through its cycle by itself, so no worries. And we appreciate if you can do that right when you leave at the very end. Thank you.